Good day, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 23rd of August, 2023, and I got off on the metro stop. Actually, there's different entrances. One, this was here is at the metro stop's called Kupaliska. This building behind me over here, that's where the head of state sits normally, I believe, Lukashenko. That's where he works, I believe. And I'll take a little stroll down the way here. I'll show you what I'm seeing. Still kind of early in the day. It's maybe around not quite noon yet, so there's not that many people running around. In case you haven't noticed, I like going at times when there's less people. In the evenings, of course, everything is really full, and I never go out at that time. So it's a little street cafe here. Look at this. Test your Russian. Of course, it was all in English, with good cause, because right across the street almost is the British Embassy. Don't know why I'm struggling to keep this backpack on. Doesn't want to cooperate. Looks like you can learn English here. School of English. Right across from the British Embassy. I can bet that there's some people that work at that place that actually work at that school too. Okay, news. Oh boy. Talk about some news. Look at this. First, looks like a lot of famous people must have lived here. They need to make another wall to put up. They need another wall just to put up all the names of all the famous people that live there. A lot of places to walk. Well, here's a KFC across the street. So where should I walk? Looks like a nice park over there, but well, there's a nice building over here this way. Let me take you over there first. But I gotta be. Instead of showing you around, I should be talking about some news now, shouldn't I? Gonzalo Lira, that is one thing. I guess they caught him. They caught him trying to go into Hungary. And of course he's in prison again. I don't know why he just never got out of the country the first time. And his new court date now is October 2nd. And I guess somebody has put a lot of that documentation, you know, showing his new court date and whatnot for the 2nd. I don't know what this building is. It looks very artsy. A lot of paintings up above. Somebody got married, it looks like, over here. This is apparently Lenina Avenue. But it doesn't say from here. I don't see any. I guess I'd have to walk up close to find out what that building is. Very nice though. Sorry about the noise. Okay. these people get up there, and then I'll come back again. Look at this. Look at all the mirrors here. No, but I'll tell you what, I'm really struggling with this backpack. I guess I got to put it with both shoulders up. Doesn't want to stay on my back. So anyway, as far as Gonzalo Lira, I guess there's not really that much to say that I haven't already said. Looks like I'm walking in a big group of people here. Since Scott Ritter came out with his assessment, I guess everybody's jumped on that bandwagon. And as you know, they were having a feud, and I think it was maybe initiated, in my opinion. See, I'm not privy to all the information, but in my opinion, it was like Gonzalo Lira said something, even though Gonzalo Lira was making a part of a video talking about what are the best news sources, you know, and who he listens to and believes and says puts out good news. And one of those people was Scott Ritter. He said Scott Ritter puts out very good information, but there was something he didn't like. Apparently what he said in the video anyway, he didn't like the fact that Scott Ritter had said that they killed him or something when they took him in the first time. And Scott Ritter never said anything about them taking Gonzalo in. But anyway, then they got him the second time. I don't know why Gonzalo Lira didn't leave. I've gone through all this before. I don't know why he didn't leave, get out of Ukraine at that time. Of course, he's got a family there, so I guess that makes things a little bit more difficult. Maybe I don't know how old his children are. Do they have good jobs? Are they in good schools? Does his wife have a good job? Refuse to leave? You know how that is. You know, it's not like you can just say, oh, this seems kind of dangerous, so I'm going to leave. I don't know. You know, I don't know his situation. Nobody does, apparently. Nobody knows that exact. So saying that the fact that he didn't leave makes him an agent, now that's just a little bit of a stretch to me. So I didn't hear his side, and we're not going to hear his side. A lot of people are saying that that a lot of these other people, like in the Duran and anybody else that supported him, they say they've all abandoned him, but I don't know about that. Maybe they just don't have any news on him, so they're not reporting anything. So I don't know. You know, what Scott Ritter said, of course, does make a lot of sense. I like Scott Ritter. I'll continue to like Scott Ritter. I'll just have my own opinion. I mean, those that watch this vlog and watch a lot of these other vlogs, obviously should be people that can think for themselves. So I'm not going to be told what to think, and told what is true, you know, just by an assumption or by a suspicion. So I'll give, like I keep saying, I'll give Gonzalo a chance when he can open up his mouth and say something. And if he can't, I'll just reserve judgment. I'm not going to, I've been in that place before. And I think Scott Ritter has, and I think a lot of us have, to where you're accused of something and you're more shocked than anybody else hearing it because it just isn't true. Oh, I was going to go through here, but they're cleaning. This looks kind of like a nice place, but of course the leaves are all turning now. I don't know, some places the leaves turn in August. I was thinking it was Castanian, but these are another type of tree. It looks like, you know, they do a lot of cleaning. A lot of time they do this at night in Belarus. They start in the evenings. Like I noticed last night, they were going up and down our street cleaning, and maybe I can keep on going through here, but it's just not a good time. I can maybe wait 15 minutes, but I just so happens I'm here at this time. So let's go, let's do it. Try not to get run over or swept away, swept up. Interesting, a bendy street cleaner. the most popular hairstyle in Belarus. Long, straight hair. Gosh, I better get going on news. I have a lot to say. So, you've probably heard by now that only 27% of the German people support the German government. You know, I'm surprised it's even 27%. I've been talking very negatively about Olaf Scholz for quite some time now. Look at this. TGI Fridays. Sorry about the wind. I'm hoping it doesn't get you. Here's the new Belarusian McDonald's across the street, MacB. Now let's go down into the metro. Maybe I can get to some news. It's probably less interesting down here. Yesterday, the U.S. government urged Americans to leave Belarus, to get out, but don't go through Poland, don't go through Russia, don't go through Ukraine, and there's only a few land options where they can cross the border for Lithuania and for Latvia. Otherwise, you have to take a flight out of Minsk, but they're telling American citizens to leave Belarus. And why? I don't know. They didn't seem to explain. I think maybe they're planning something. And I can get into this a little bit later. A lot of the security people of Ukraine says something's going to happen within a week. But I think that was actually referring to Ukraine, that they're going to do something in Ukraine. I'll talk about that a little bit later here. So who knows? Anyway, they shut the borders. They're shutting the borders between Belarus and the EU. So what we have right now, if I were Churchill, I would be telling you, an iron curtain has descended across Europe. So, oh, it's really nice on the other side. I guess I got off over here, but I'll take a walk on this side anyway. I think I've walked through this other area, but let's go right through here. One guest, a feathered guest here at this cafe. Did you get your coffee? Did you get the cake? Look at these guys, they found something good. I didn't catch them in time. You didn't see that. I was wondering, maybe the U.S. didn't like that interview with that Ukrainian journalist, Hanchenko. Like I say, I think she's persona non grata in Ukraine because she isn't hateful to Russia, because she takes a neutral stance, you know. If you're in that kind of a position, you have to hate Russia. Otherwise, oh look, I'll show you. Here's a bus. It can go by electricity or gasoline. It's a new Belarusian bus, I guess. I think those just came out in the last year. So, just to show you. Yeah, so what was it? There's a few border crossings open. I already said that. Annalena Baerbock. I think I have a few pieces of news on her. She gave her assessment of what's going on in Ukraine. And you know Annalena Baerbock. I don't know where her IQ went. Well, it never existed. It didn't go anywhere because it was never there in the first place, apparently. Old 360 degrees Annalena, you know, the one that says that she doesn't care about the German people, but yet to do everything for Ukraine. In other words, she's in the wrong country. She should be the leader of the foreign minister of Ukraine. So there's all these plaques everywhere and all these famous people. I guess I'm in the famous people part of town. I don't know if that guy did. Famous buildings all over. I can just walk around here and be showing you all the plaques of famous people. They're all over. There's another one up here. So, I don't know. At least they honor people in this country. They put up monuments to things and they recognize people. A lot like that. I hope you can hear me. I tell you what, a lot of traffic noise here. So anyway, what does that Annalena Baerbock say? She said the situation is now that there are large minefields. I don't know if she said particularly eastern Ukraine or just eastern Ukraine, because of course it's only in eastern Ukraine. But she said there are large minefields the size of West Germany. Whatever that means. Okay, here's the Grand Cafe, people. Carpe diem. Let's see. Seize the day, it says there. Gotta make this light. Gotta make this light. Grand Cafe, I guess that's after the French Grand Cafe. And there's a place called Eclair Delicious. You can't see it, unfortunately, but I guess that's famous for the eclairs. Lots of eclairs there. Of course, here's a place that looks like German beer. Grimberger. Sounds German to me. Okay, what else am I saying? Anyway, she says minefields the size of West Germany. I started thinking, how could you do that? Who planted these minefields? You'd have to have like 100,000 people working for 6 months, 24 hours a day, just to do an area half the size of what she's describing. Incredible. I don't know where she comes up with this stuff, or maybe she thinks everybody is stupid, because I don't know that there's anybody that stupid to be telling her that stuff. It's just incredible. So many people walking around here. You know, not to mention the fact I thought Russia was running out of weapons. Where did they get all these mines? Where did they store all these mines? Where did they store all these mines before this time? If you had so many mines the size, put in minefields the size of West Germany, they must have had a big pile of landmines the size of Minsk. It's incredible. I don't know. But you know, like I said, I don't know if it's even worth commenting. That's Annalena Baerbock. Look at this. I'm wondering. They have looks like is that a French flag? I don't even know. Italian or something. It's a European Union. Let's see what this is. Maybe it's some embassies in here. Look at a bike rack. No bikes though. Yes, France. Embassy of France. It looks like they have a Swiss flag up there wrapped up. Somebody's got the window open. They need to unwrap that flag. So it's probably the Swiss embassy as well. So many places to go. So many nice streets around this area. So I don't even know. I'll head down this way. Follow these young ladies here. Maybe I should sit on a bench and talk some news, try to get some of this news talked out here. Working hours. Время работы. So let's see here. A couple cafes down the way. There's one right here. I'll bet you didn't think Minsk looked like this, did you? In America, they want you to think something completely different. Everybody's oppressed, and get into a story like that in a little bit here. Probably going to be a long video here. So anyway, should try to hurry along here. The Secretary of Ukrainian National Security, Danilov, he continues to say that the Ukraine is going to liberate Crimea. Incredible. But anyway, I could make this whole video, and then most of this is going to be about the Ukraine, because as I've been saying all along, and again, it's another one of those topics that I don't know why the other vloggers have not been stressing this, that the one main goal that's been a strategic goal of the United States for many, many decades, for probably nearly my whole life, is to deprive Russia of the Crimea. And now, of course, the new goal is to take the Crimea. And so many things point that way. That's why the United States has put forces in Romania, in a area that they can very quickly get to the Crimea. If Ukraine ever does get the Crimea, that the United States is going to put some forces there immediately to hold the Crimea. But they'll never get the Crimea. So thankfully, my prediction will never show any real fruits to be proof. You know, in other words, the smoking gun will probably never come about, thankfully. You know, it's terrible. But anyway, they're still talking about taking Crimea. They talk about that more than anything else, more than anything about the Donbass. They want Crimea. And of course, I don't know why they have a big goal of trying to get Bakhmut, Artyomovsk. You know, and they're still wasting lives there. Not as much as they were before, but they're still trying to get it. Maybe it's because they said they're going to get it or hold it or something. So they want to look like they're true to their word, and maybe that's why they keep saying they're going to take Crimea too, even though they're not and they can't. And as far as this BRICS summit is concerned, I guess the first day was yesterday, and there's nothing really startling coming out of that, at least not yet. You know, Vladimir Putin said de-dollarization is inevitable, is irreversible, I think he said. So, well, that's true and something we already knew. But the United States, you know, talk about a little bit more about Crimea. They're pretty angry because Ukraine is not putting their forces where the U.S. wants them to have their forces. And of course, where they want to have the forces is they want to have them going to the Azov, to cut off Russia, or cut off Crimea from the mainland Russia, and send their forces to the Azov, so that they can take the Crimea, and then USA can take that as their reward for all the help that they've been giving them. And of course, you know, Ukraine has a huge, huge debt, and they're not going to win anyway. I'll tell you what, the only salvation for Ukraine, for the Ukrainian people, the nation, is that if Russia wins, and then they probably will say, you can take that debt and stick it where the sun doesn't shine, you know. And the debt is the taxpayers anyway, American taxpayers. It's who was it? It was probably, I know it was let me try to get. I kind of mix up Jeffrey Sachs, a great economist, with Paul Craig Roberts, who recently gave a talk, and I guess it was Paul Craig Roberts. He said that everybody in the world has been financing the U.S.'s wars, so it's not coming out of the U.S. alone. It's coming out of everybody in the world, because the U.S. has the world's reserve currency, and they use that money to fund their wars around the world. So we're all paying for the wars of America. And all of this that they're giving to Ukraine we're all paying for it. That's why inflation happens all around the world, maybe, not just in somebody who is very, very irresponsible with their money. So anyway, I don't know if the U.S. expects Ukraine not to have that many forces over in the Kharkiv region and just lose the Kharkiv. And I don't know why they're bothering with Bakhmut. They've lost it already. They think they're going to take it back, and they think it's that strategic, where it isn't. It's not that strategic. But, you know, in the same note, the United States feels that the Crimea is so enormously strategic. But even that's not necessarily true. Before, it was trying to deprive Russia of having a port that was ice-free all year long, which is the Crimea, and they wanted to deprive them of that. But Novorossiysk, which is, for the most part, it's the main port of Krasnodar, and it is one of the major ports of all Russia, maybe one of the top three, not the Crimea, believe it or not. So maybe the U.S. wants to get to Crimea so that they can attack Novorossiysk and take that one. So, because I guess that's where most of the stuff is run out right now. But often that was going to be, I mentioned that not long ago, it was going to be a tourist point, and the British were actually investing a huge amount of money in multiple hotels there. But of course, I'm sure that's ended now, long ago. Okay. And the New York Times. Let's see, I have a quote here. It says, American planners have advised Ukraine to concentrate on the front driving toward Melitopol. In other words, to the Azov, and to cut off Russia. So, you know, cut off the Crimea from Russia. So everybody's trying to push Ukraine into, you know, getting the Crimea because the U.S. wants that badly. Okay, they said to Melitopol, punching through Russian minefields and other defenses. In other words, continue to throw your troops into the meat grinder, you know. It says, yeah, punch through the Russian minefields and other defenses, even if the Ukrainians lose more soldiers and equipment. And those are exact words. That's a quote. I didn't say that. I didn't add that. Even if the Ukrainians lose more soldiers and equipment. So, and as you know, this counteroffensive, you know, in the past, what is it, 2 months, they've lost 43,000 men, or no, 45,000 soldiers. 45,000 because it was 43,000 not long ago, but now it's 45,000. So, in other words, fight to the last Ukrainian, liberate the Crimea for Uncle Sam. Do it for Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam wants you. So keep on doing that, even though you've gotten nowhere. You haven't gotten anything. You haven't even reached the first line of defense for Russia. Talk about insanity. You know, what is that? Insanity is to keep doing the same thing that has not been successful over and over again, thinking that at one point it's going to be successful. You know, in this case, you know, they're just not going anywhere, and just keep on doing it. Keep doing the same thing. You know, and Ukraine, I guess, at least has a little bit more sense. At least they stopped and said, well, let's stop using these NATO tactics and let's use our tactics. And then, of course, they're holding back a lot. And instead of just throwing men, you know, in waves against the Russian minefields and artillery. And the U.S. says that they're too hesitant and they need to throw caution to the wind and continue as they were before. So that's how much they love the Ukrainian people. And who was that? This Polish leader. I don't know if it was Duda. And he said that, what did he say? He said, at least it's not American lives, you know. The most worthless lives, of course, in the West are the Ukrainian lives. That's what he was basically saying. They're the most worthless lives. And next to worthless is his own people, is the Polish people. But for all sake, and then who comes after that? Maybe the Germans or whatever. As long as the Americans' lives, because they're more precious. This is the leader of Poland, alluding to the fact that American lives are more precious than the rest of European lives. I think that's one of the problems we have going on in the world right now. And of course, this attitude, and like, remember 9/11, and when Iraq lost way over 3,000 people in one American bombing raid, nobody really thought that was a big deal. Nobody's even heard of it. You don't even remember it, I'm sure. But when in the World Trade Center towers, when that happened, then that was a big tragedy, and USA had the sympathy of the entire world, and they used that sympathy basically to launch a war on the rest of the world. So, but you were starting to get the point, the idea that Ukraine started realizing that there is a value to their soldiers, that you can't win a war without soldiers when you're losing all your soldiers. And maybe they thought they had an endless supply, and then now of course they're even mobilizing even more people. And another point I want to make, that what is happening now when you're hearing about this evacuation. Jackson Hinkle's been talking a lot about this evacuation, like around the Kharkiv region, evacuating more towns. And I think just yesterday or something, they announced 70 more towns, which means around 100 villages they've evacuated in that region. But what they don't tell you is they're evacuating, for the most part, just the women and the children, and the men all have to stay there. And even then, they're not evacuating all the women. It's not that many. So some are either staying on their own, or they're just not evacuating them. So it's not really a big evacuation. I think that's more done for press purposes, that they're so humanitarian and they're evacuating people, because they never evacuated them in the past, did they? So, and then we saw this interview with Tucker Carlson and Colonel Douglas McGregor. And of course, most of this is all the same information we've been knowing for quite some time, that it's really pointless. He put a lot of points into it, like when they get these Abrams tanks. That was one thing that I took note of, that they have these turbo engines in them, and they're very, very hot. And with thermal sensors, from satellites, the Russians can see these things from satellites where the Abrams tanks are located, and they can pinpoint them from a satellite. You don't even need the drones, because they're so hot. They burn so hot. So when they get the Abrams tanks, isn't that incredible how this technology can actually really mess you up too? Yeah, that kind of bothers me when they try to allude to the fact that American lives are more valuable than other lives, I guess maybe that's what Obama meant when he called the Americans the exceptional people. Sounds sort of like when somebody said the master race, or God's chosen people, the exceptional people. I don't know, I'm starting to get a problem with these people coming out and saying this sort of thing. It actually kind of makes me sick, to be honest with you. Saying your people are better than other people, and yeah, I don't know. What about equality, diversity, multiculturalism? God forbid, multipolarism. That should never be allowed, should it? Maybe that's why they're going after that. Multipolarism. Just think the terrible notion that there's equality in the world. What about democracy? I don't know. You're probably all getting just as confused as I am when you watch how the world works here. I tell you what, it's very difficult to be doing these videos when you see people, they're all over and they're staring at me. It's like I'm talking to them. They can't understand what I'm saying. They walk and they keep looking back, and I don't know, tell you, I gotta go to some private place or something. Okay, what else do we have to say here? Mostly I was talking about this meat grinder, throwing these men in there. Even have, there's just no end to this stuff about the Crimea. The Americans are totally obsessed with the Crimea. Even Mark Milley came out, and also the top general in Europe, which is General Christopher Cavoli. He's of course in charge in SHAPE, which is, I've been there a few times back in the old days, and like I said, I worked for the top general of the military in Germany, directly for him in his office. And a lot of time I had to go to certain places, and I went to SHAPE Belgium, I guess, twice. That's also where NATO headquarters and the headquarters of the European Union is at, of course. And Cavoli You know, he's the top general. And SHAPE, in case you don't know, that's Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe. The acronym SHAPE, SHAPE Belgium. And you know, some of the nice buildings, not here, but some of the ones you saw, it's a lot like that right there, but it's very crowded right in front of where they meet. You know, the parliament and all that. I don't even see how these diplomats and generals and stuff get to work because the traffic is so bad. I don't know. I was in traffic there a few times. Matter of fact, I drove there like 3 times. So you have everybody telling them to get their Crimea, get their Crimea. And obviously, I think somebody noted this, and I was also wondering myself. I was thinking, well, isn't it going to start to rain pretty soon? But it looks like, you know, that's going to be around mid-September. I think I can walk on this street. It looks like it's not much. It looks like it's a Fußgänger zone, what they say in Germany. So, not much traffic. See all the cars here, of course. Maybe it's a certain time. It's a dead end down here. It's a cafe. But anyway, mid-September, it's going to be a bunch of mud, and there's not going to be really, you know, the same kind of game going on. Of course, everything's going to have to change. The war is going to be much different. You don't really have to even think about tanks. Maybe that's the time when the Abrams are going to start showing up, because they're not going to be used. So the United States can say, yes, we put Abrams there, and 6 months they never destroyed one Abrams, maybe because they're not going to be going anywhere. It's just like the Challenger, you know, the British telling them to hold back the Challengers, and of course I think now they're committed. I don't know, maybe a few. And Budanov, the chief, what is he, the military intelligence chief, Kirill Budanov, has just stated yesterday, I believe, late yesterday, he said that something will happen in the next few days. I was like, really? Yes, my cat is going to start eating meat. No, I don't know. That's not going to happen. For some reason, I've got a cat that doesn't eat meat. Anything. Only thing he eats is dry cat food. Doesn't even like wet cat food. Doesn't like meat. Doesn't like anything but dry cat food and water. But he likes good, high quality, expensive dry cat food. But anyway, something will happen in the next few days, and I think he maybe elaborated on that a little bit later. He said Kiev will attack the Crimea within a week. Well, he didn't say that, but he said that. He said, I mean, I'm not quoting from him. He said that in his own roundabout way, that Kiev is going to attack Crimea within a week. I'd say, well, thanks for telling us, the Russians. Thanks for letting us know. We'll keep our eyes open. Of course, they're already keeping their eyes open. And of course, they've made so many attacks. They've really escalated that in the last period of time. And luckily for them, virtually everything has been shot down. Russia has gotten very good at doing this. Remember at the very beginning, they were sending drones and missiles and things, and a lot of them got through and did a lot of looks like a cafe here. It's not open yet. Beer tents back there. But a lot of things got through, and now they've escalated that, and nothing has gotten through. And what is it? The 17th of July is when they bombed that bridge that last time. And of course, Russia's taken some protective measures, put floating devices and things there in case anything gets through. And this is a good one. President Zelensky has come up with an initiative. They call it an initiative, and it's called Crimean Platform. And this initiative means, well, what they're saying is that Russia is the occupier of the peninsula. Just don't forget the fact that 96% of the people are ethnic Russians, very nationalistic towards Russia. Just forget about that. They're occupiers. They're occupiers of the peninsula, and they are oppressors of the Tatars, the Crimean Tatars, Tatar people. I didn't say Tatars. The European Union, no, the Russian economy is in tatters. No, the Tatars, I guess I should say, I should pronounce it better. So the Tatars, you know, and Zelensky, and of course it's being parroted by, you know, a lot of his top people. He's been saying that these people, they want to be free of Russia. They want to be again a part of Ukraine, you know, even though nobody's ever said so. I guess maybe the Russians are oppressing them so bad that, you know, that their voices are oppressed, and they've been coming out and saying they want to be part of Ukraine again. That's what he's probably trying to say. But they're promising more terrorist attacks from the Crimea. Yes, that includes, of course, some long-range missiles provided by the West. And as you know, Germany is just right on the verge of sending the Taurus. And the Storm Shadow has already come, which is like kind of like a joint effort, I believe, or a joint production with the British and the French. Maybe the French have their little design of the same thing, of the Storm Shadow, and which are somewhat long range, but the German one is like 500 kilometers, the Taurus. So that'll be quite more devastating. And I don't know about these ATACMS. I haven't heard any talk about that, but of course Biden was saying he's not going to send them, and how many times have we heard this before? Well, we're not going to send this, and of course they've always ended up sending things. So let's walk down here. It looks like there's some. Look, we're going to Tahiti, the tiki hut here. Like I said, I'm too early. Looks like they have draft beer there. Some North American Indian totem poles in Tahiti. No, I don't know. It looks very much like something that would be from Samoa or something, but I don't know that they made totem poles down there. I come from the Pacific Northwest, and we had, you know, totem pole makers by where I come from. Hookah Cloud, what is this, a marijuana place? Hookah pipe, I guess. Pinky clothes. Anyway, I thought I'd just walk down this street here. You wanted to see that. I don't really have much of any news, you know, I'm just seeing things, and I don't know this area. I've been kind of around some places around here a little bit before, and I think I've been down this street, but different times. Never walked down this exact place where I'm walking now, this little alleyway, but been on the street going down. Maybe had different business to tend to, so I wasn't really looking around too much. But anyway, you've heard the news, and I hope I didn't do too much extraneous stuff that you didn't want to hear, you know. And I hope you liked the scenery. Some of you do, I know that. You mentioned that. I'm doing this for you. So it's not just for the news hounds. So you want to see what it's like on the other side, and hey, and realize, just like what I said in this video, they are cutting off. They're cutting off the so-called West and the East again. And I don't know, should I be running to get out of this country like my government told me? Should I be running to get out of here or not? But it's, like I said, another sort of a curtain. So what do we call this curtain? It's not an iron curtain. It's not an invisible curtain. I don't know. Actually, some of you are pretty good with coming up with this stuff. So, if you come up with something good, I'll be using it. Because this is like it's another blocking between East and West. So what do we call it? You call it like I said, you can't call it an iron curtain. That one's already used. So, think up something good, and I'll probably use it from now on in my videos. So, anyhow, I appreciate your comments and some of your good suggestions. I've heard some really good stuff. Oh, somebody said something on a different, I was going to say it. I was going to repeat it here, but now I forgot what it is. It wasn't any of my subscriber. I think think I saw it on some other site. It was on the site when somebody was talking a lot about Gonzalo Lira and you know, what's going on with him right now. So I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more somewhere shortly after October 2nd. So yes, he should have got out. He should have got out of Ukraine a lot earlier. You know, but I don't know. I'm not in his shoes. None of us are, so we can't fully pass judgment on Gonzalo, and maybe I shouldn't say he should have got out because maybe he's got his reasons for staying. I don't know. It's up to him. He hasn't really told us anything that yet, so I'm not gonna, like I say, condemn the guy for his whatever, for his actions yet, and I hope it doesn't cost him his life. So thanks for joining me, and if I'm sure no new people are watching this. That would be very, very rare because YouTube does not send my videos to anybody but my subscribers, and I'm kind of thinking they don't even send it to my subscribers a lot. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.